So today's session is Power BI Report Usage Dashboard. My name is Emil Glownia. The agenda is an introduction. I will cover the built-in usage reports that are available in Power BI, and then how to create a bespoke dashboard. The details we will go into, and questions and answers. And before questions and answers, I will also talk about another way to do report usage, which will be my preferred way, but I just haven't done it yet. But I will talk about that. Just about myself, I'm a Microsoft Certified Solutions Expert in BI, owner of and CEO of KB Intelligence, and we do call ourselves #1 choice for Power BI experts. I did publish a book in 2021. Recently, I refreshed it to 2022. It's available on Amazon, called A Career with Microsoft Power BI. The title was changed to A Career in BI, IT BI, and Power BI. But it's there. It's quite short, an hour and a half read, but a light read, which I would recommend to anyone who want to uh, grow their career, start or grow their career. My company is KB Intelligence, recently renamed Power BI Experts. We only do Power BI projects and sometimes related technologies. I founded it in 2011, but mainly as UK contracts. And since last year, October, I got my first person, Ahmed, who is a Microsoft MVP. And since then, we now have a team of 6 and we are growing quite rapidly. We do offer Power BI consulting services globally. And we do, most of our clients is UK, USA, and Canada, because that's our target audience. We do call ourselves #1 choice for Power BI experts, and the unique aspect of the Flexi team, we work 100% productive time, 100% efficiency. So we deliver essentially more for less with excellent quality and customer service, and we do offer safe start for new clients who are not sure if they want to use us. We just spend 40 hours with them, and if they don't like it, they can walk away. Otherwise, we get paid. If you want to recommend us, we do have referral schemes, so you can earn quite a bit for meeting invites and new clients, and we also do long-term percentage for those who want to cooperate with us on a long-term basis. I did have recently, I don't know how, but Ken, a contractor, worked for Reload in the US, and he was moving to another project, and he picked up my profile on LinkedIn and said, here's a good guy. So he recommended us, got quite a bit in referral for a few years. And yeah, it's always nice to have referral, especially from people who I don't know personally. That's a bit of marketing. So we deliver top quality Power BI dashboards with wow and how. We do have a graphic designer in the team, so to increase the wow factor. And we do it in an affordable and flexible ways for a customer. So we do part-time, ad hoc, long-term things. And how we are different, we designed a unique service called Flexi Team that solves all the key inefficiencies, problems, and minimizes risk of running a Power BI project. And we are proud of it. So we run very efficiently. As I mentioned, 100% efficiency, 100% productive time, which means you don't pay for breaks or chats or downtime or anything like that. Efficiency, we estimate based on the typical efficiency to complete it by an expert. And if it takes us longer, we don't charge for that. But we also cover project management, architecture, and everything in between as a team. So we don't work as a single person, we work as a team. You can follow me on LinkedIn, so you will quite easily find the company, KB Intelligence, and my personal profile. I do have a weekly newsletter. and but I'm warning you that I'm sharing my things like I'm a schizophrenic. Uh, recently had third episode, unfortunately, but yeah, I am a schizophrenic. So you will see I'm quite keen on mental health as a mental health advocate to raise the awareness and what to do with that.
We stand
So
with Emil. I think that's amazing to be able to like say that openly, and also just to be able to continue to be an advocate for it.
yeah,
We are big
I
in
mean,
behavioral healthcare
I'm,
and all that. So
I mean, it's schizophrenia. I call it. It's my blessing. I call it a blessing because the biggest lesson I learned from schizophrenia was that I was completely disconnected from reality. All my beliefs, all my emotions were disconnected, and it really put me on track with things, and it's doing really well. So I'm proud of it, being a schizophrenic, and hopefully I will use it to my advantage if I don't get disabled by for life, which is the risk.
well, we're
But
here to
it's
support you, my man. Great
thank you.
story.
So the main content of the session, how can we measure Power BI success? One of it, which is often overlooked, is the usage data. So a lot of companies would like usage data. A lot of companies don't have usage data, or it's very, very basic. And usage data is great because it can give us a lot of things. And what we do in our company is clients can come to us and we'll do the usage data for them. We are trying to do a product out of that. So once we switch to API, we will put it as a product for our clients, and straight away we will host it on our Power BI service and they can connect to it. And if they want it on their own service for a small fee, we'll share it with them. But we want it as a product because a lot of it's a very a lot of things is reusable. The questions we can answer with the usage data is quite simple. Are users actually using the reports? So if you've got a report and you expect 50 users using it on a weekly basis regularly, and you get 5, then obviously you've got a problem. Uh, Typically you don't get more users, but you can track if people are using it. The other thing is the report performance acceptable. Obviously, Power BI is very very responsive. However, at the same time, you can get into a level of complexities with the size of the model, with the complexity of the model, with the complexity of DAX, where the pages and the number of visuals you use on the page, that it becomes quite slow. And we can measure the performance from Power BI, and I'll show you a bit more about that. Um, who is using your reports? We can connect additional sources of data, so we can get the information who is how many users we have, who is the user, but also we can expand on that and say uh, introduce the hierarchy of the person, or build our um, custom fields related to that, build our own hierarchy, and we can slice and dice the data based on summaries, whichever way we want. And more questions to answer, which you will see in a second. Now, the built-in report usage, there are two ways to access it. One is by clicking this 3 dots next to the report, and it shows view usage metrics report. And at the same time, well, a different way to do that is go through the menu, also 3 dots, and you have open usage metrics. Once you click this button, if you haven't tried it yet, try it out, and you will see it will auto generate a report and model for you, and you will be able to access uh, the uh, the built-in report usage. Now, one thing, I'm not sure if it has changed. I'm assuming that at some point it will change, but we have two-in-one built-in report usage metrics. So one, once you have the report, you will be able to see this toggle, which is new usage report off and new usage report on. Now they are quite different, so I don't think Microsoft will drop the older one anytime soon, but I can be proved wrong in that. And you can switch between those two different designs, which I will show you what they look like. Now, this is the classic, the old one, report usage metric. So if you click the classic, that's how it looks. I think uh, it's fairly basic. So we have a summary of total views, total viewers, and total shares, total views rank, and total share rank. Now the total view rank and total share rank, I don't understand it at all. Total dashboard in organizations, 14K. Uh, that's from the data they have. I don't think that makes much sense to me. 14,000 dashboards, unless it's an extremely large organization. Total views is okay. I prefer total users because very often on websites we measure it by total views, but that's only because we cannot get a unique user. So I typically prefer total users, and we do have total viewers next to it. So this is quite a nice comparison. And total shares, how many people shared the report. Now, I'm not sure how reliable this is, but from my experience, sometimes you don't see who shares the report, which may sometimes bypass the permissions of the workspace. So I'm quite like the total shares if we can identify something. So on the graph, we have views per day, unique viewers per day, and shares per day. Shares per day, there is little analytical value in that. Views per day, you can see it's there. Now, because it's views per day, it can be quite periodic. You can see it's probably Monday to Friday in here, and then Saturday, Sunday is not there. We can see it change a little bit, but you can also see that the data is limited. So you can see the data is limited to the last 3 months and not more, which is one of the limitations we will discuss. Personally, I would also prefer something like a 7 days moving average, where we take the last 7 days and make it an average and show it like that. Um, we've got unique viewers here as well. Distribution methods and platforms is also available. There is a Microsoft documentation in here. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but it's available. Now, the limitation of the Classic is that it's fairly basic information and it's the last 90 days. So unless you snapshot it, save the data, you will lose the data beyond 90 days. It shows only one report at the time. So you've seen the picture, and that was for a single report. It doesn't allow you to do multiple reports at the same time, and you cannot modify underlying data model. So the data model is generated in the Power BI service, and uh, you cannot change it. You cannot download the PPIX file. It's just there in Power BI service. So you don't have much control or more control than with Power BI if you do it yourself. And the data doesn't track published to web data. Now, I have used published to web data previously on my website, and I couldn't see the statistics. But moving forward, I'm going to, in the next few weeks, I'm going to introduce login on my website, LinkedIn login, and also embed the reports there, not through publish to web, but through embed. I'm not sure if I will get the data through embedding, but I'll try it out and update the content of this slides to let you know if that works for embedding or not. The positive points is you can edit reports as much as you cannot edit the underlying data model. You can edit the reports in Power BI service. You can connect to the data model using Power BI desktop, and that means that you can add your own DAX measures. Which is really nice because we cannot edit the data model, at least the tables itself, but we can add extra measures if we connect to the data set. And you can export data manually. And if you have premium, you can do it automatically. Now, I haven't tried the premium to do it automatically yet. I have made some research related to that, and it seems it's possible. And I will try it. It's on my to-do list to try it in the next few weeks or a month or two. And I will confirm that functionality and share it on LinkedIn once I know it's working.
Hey, Emil, we got a
Mhm.
question asking, is the report viewage and usage metrics, is it only for the reports in an app or a workspace? Does it differentiate between the two, or is it typically just for the app?
That's a very good question. So as far as I know, it picks the report name. I would imagine that it picks the report that is being viewed. So I would say that it probably doesn't differentiate between
Between
a
either.
workspace and an app because I don't
Yeah.
think it would make much sense. But it's a very
Mm.
good question. I haven't considered the fact that if we use an app, does it show the statistics? So it's definitely worth verifying that because I'm only making an assumption that it picks up whenever someone accesses the actual report.
See, Daryl, not a dumb question. Can't believe you'd even say that.
No, I never say that.
That's what he
Uh,
said. That's why I was saying. I was like, that's actually really.
That was me who said it.
Um, okay, so this is the new usage page one. So this is the new report. So if you switch from classic to the modern one, you will see this. Now, this to me looks a little bit better from the design perspective. You can see report opens, which is um, uh, how many times someone opened a single report. That's my actually definition. You would have to verify if that's true. Report page views, unique viewers, and report open trend. Um, no, I don't understand 384 in here, but I'm sure there is some kind of definition that explains how this is calculated. You have time frame, which you can change, distribution and platform. So you can see that the platform actually says embedded. So I'm hoping that when I embed it on the websites, instead of using publish to web, I will get the statistics for embedded. We have mobile, we have not specified, and Power BI .com. And we can see the not specified is quite high in this case. Now, we do have daily report opens and a weekly report opens. So I quite like that we have daily report opens, and you can see Saturday, Sunday is low. Weekly makes it a little bit easier because it takes out the irregularity. Still, I prefer 7 days moving average myself for what I do. Now, report viewers, open request report viewers. I quite like report viewers as opposed to open requests. It's a little bit difficult for me to digest the open request, but I prefer report viewers, but that's a personal preference, and you can see the data in here. You can also see July, August. So it this one shows, I think, a month of data, and we have unique users on the right and the pages that are being visited. So This one is a little bit more advanced comparing to the classic one. It looks better, the design is better, I quite like it. And this is what I like very much about the new usage report. You actually get performance. So you can get a metric called typical opening time, 8 seconds. Great metric. It kind of straight away gives you what the performance is. Opening time trend. Again, I don't know how this is calculated. And for most of the users, your report opens within 3 and 19 seconds. That's a useful, kind of easy to understand information. That's for one single report. Now we do have in here on the right the slicers for the dates, but we have browsers, so you can see which browsers are being used. If your organization only does one of the browsers, like in my company we only use Chrome, that should be the entire usage, but in here we can see that multiple browsers are being used. Which is quite useful info. And obviously the most important is this graph. It shows 25% of open report actions, 50, 75%. So it uses percentile to show you what the performance of the report is. And you can see that kind of the 50% is in around the 8 to 10 seconds. And you can see that at a particular date, we have probably an outlier that shows 40 seconds on that particular date. It shows higher in here, so there probably was some kind of issue with the performance. Now this one is another page from the new usage report, and you can see that we have a number of active reports, 51, total views, total viewers, a trend, and unused reports. And I've hidden the information in here just so I wouldn't reveal a little bit more sensitive information. You have number of views, views as a percentage, users, days, and view trends. So it's a simple page, but it shows all the reports as opposed to a single report that you could see on the other pages. And you have unique users on the right and everything else. Documentation is available here. I'm not going to open that. Now the limitations shows only last 30 days. So you could see there was 4 weeks and a little bit, and that means it only shows last 30 days, shows only one report at a time, except one page that I showed you that it shows all the reports. Still, you cannot modify the underlying data model. You cannot download the PBIX file, and it doesn't track the published web data. Positives, performance, load time statistics. That's a very difficult statistic to get, and the new report shows a performance load time statistic, which I think is one of the most interesting statistics, because obviously the main user experience, if users do use the reports, which would be ideal, then you need to look at the performance or the reasons why someone is not using the reports might be performance, so you can correlate the usage with the performance as well. You cannot connect to the data model using Power BI desktop. You can connect, sorry, you can connect to the data model using Power BI desktop and add your own measures, which is the same for the previous options. Now the next option is if you feel like you are being limited by the built-in reports, which I think they are quite restrictive, you can build your own usage dashboard. Why would you do that? Well, you can load historical data. You can overcome the 30 and 90 days limit. So you can build your own dashboard. You can set a table, export it, and whether you do it manually or through Premium, you can export it. Premium hopefully will give you an option to do it automatically. You can load multiple workspaces data. So the previous one was you click the usage, and the usage is for a single report in a single workspace. And that means that if you want to make edits to the report, you have to publish it to different workspaces to get it in a single um, to transfer it. Uh, there is option to load definitive list of users and reports. So obviously, when we see users, those are actually active users. So what are we missing? Well, we are missing people who haven't used the report in the 30 or 90 days limit. And if they haven't used it, you will not have them on the list. However, if you create your own list from Active Directory or from a spreadsheet that shows everyone who's supposed to have access, you can identify those users who didn't use the report at all in the 30 to 90 days. And you can also create a list of reports. And the same, if someone hasn't used a specific report, you will not see it on the usage report. However, if you create your own list of reports and describe it, then you can do analytics on show me the reports that have not been used through by users. You can expand the model to include additional info. So for instance, for users, you can add a line manager, you can add department, you can add anything you want there. For reports, a lever or starter. For reports, the same. You can say, this is my hierarchy, main category, subcategory, and you can use this information on the report. So it becomes much more flexible if you do it yourself, because you can uh, do anything with the data model, anything you want. Now, here's the example of users, and you add the department, reports, you add grouping, you add targets. Targets are very useful. So for instance, you have a report and you say the target users is 20, or the number of views is this, or you can think of any targets you want. You've got this flexibility only if you build your own usage reports. You can introduce date dimension, and that becomes very interesting for working days and bank holidays or federal holidays. I think that's what they are called in the USA. Uh, so what data can we get in classic and new usage? So for the dimensions, we can get user, we can get report, we can get date. And for the fact, we get just one fact table called views. If you want more, the new usage model has more data that we can extract, one of it being a performance. Now this is the report that I have created, and it's got old logo. I need to update that. But essentially, in here I have combined kind of everything into a single page, so I don't have to move between pages. And this one doesn't include the performance information. But let me switch. Um, Let me just figure things out. Yeah. Oh, uh, so this is the report we get. So you have all users 100, active users 100. That's all. Users usage 100. I auto-generated the data, so it's not it doesn't show the real data, and reports 20. Now on the left, I have a list of all reports, and I have a list of all users. Now I do users instead of views, but if a client said, oh, I want views instead of users or both, we would just modify the report for them. But let's say I click the most common report 85, and you can see all users 100 active users on this report 85 users, usage 85. You can see that active users for that report, I have historical data, so the limitations of 30 and 90 days was removed by extracting the data, saving it in a file, and then combining all the files into a single data model. So you can see how it changes. At the bottom, I have users usage percentage by week, and you can see that it's quite interesting, as in we have 85% users usage, but the actual usage per week is between 25 to 30% or a little bit outside of those things. So it gives us an idea of how things are. You can see the data in here changes a little bit, but if we scroll down and we say what are the lowest the reports with the lowest amount of users is this one, 6. You can see the percentage in here. So it gives quite an interesting info straight away without having to do too much analysis. It's still limited, but it's quite okay. And on the right, we have a slicer, full name, who used it, and number of users, 51, which matches the 51 in here. Let me just see the next slide. Okay, so let's me move to the next page. Now, the limitation of the previous report was it shows number of users, but it kind of didn't show what the target is. So I mentioned that if we use our own data model, we can go to the report and we can say, well, the target for this report, let's say, is 10 users. However, we get 16 users, so the usage of it is 160%. So if I click that, you can see the users usage is 16%. However, that's not accurate because the actual number of users was supposed to be 10 and we have 16. So the usage, uh, the usage for this particular report is 160, so very different. You can see it's 10 times more. And for me, that info for the report is very useful because if I didn't have it, I would be just guessing, and I would be guessing, oh, why do we have only 16%? But actually, in reality, we have 160. So I find it very useful. And obviously, if we have percentage, we don't see target in here. It's not here, but we get number of users, and target is being used to calculate usage. And if I do that from this side, you can see that the lowest, the least performing report is this one at 60%. So it's easy to calculate. The target is 10, the users is 6, and we have 60. So we can click that and we can identify the number of people who used it, 6, and essentially we are missing 4. So I don't have it here, but you could essentially do in a spreadsheet or in Power Apps or in any other application. You can say, sorry, you can say how many users should be accessing this report, and you can say these people have not used it. You just need to have a little bit more granular data, which I don't have here, but you can expand it to that kind of granularity if you really want to go into that kind of granularity. You can see also that the graph at the bottom, you have users usage, but you also have report users usage. So you can see that there are quite different. So we've seen the users usage, but it's too low. It just doesn't reflect the reality. But if we look at the report users usage where we compare the number of users to the target, that's much higher. And if we go, let's say 160, you can see that report users in here is 90% and not 9. So it gives a very different picture, and it gives much more accurate picture. And we cannot do that with internal built-in reports, because that's a little bit more advanced, and we need to modify the model to introduce the target, which you can only do by doing by updating the data model. You can also see the active users also change, because it has a line called target. So you can see the target for this report is 10, so it's much easier to compare it. You can also see when I switched, it filters the data. It doesn't use the highlight, and it shows the target. So it's a different way to look at it, but it makes, to me, much more sense. So if I click those, I can see the data. It doesn't change much because I've auto-generated it. And we have a full name, and we have users in here as well. So this is how you can expand the data model and provide more analytics. Obviously, if you get more data, you can expand it even more. Now, usage attributes. Now, the change in here is you can see on the right we have a department. So because I have users table, I could add an extra column set to say department, and you can see the usage, active users and total users. They will be the same without filtering, but if I say I want to identify this group, it shows me that all the users are from finance. So it probably is a finance report that is not being used by others. But if I change that to the, well, let's go with 160 usage, this one, you can see it's finance and IT, and it doesn't touch on HR, operations, or sales. But if I go to the most used report and click that, you can see it's being used pretty much by everyone in the organization. And you can see that the only difference in here is the operations, where the operations is 28, and the total users in operations is 43. The rest is the same. So the 15 users difference, if I was to identify them, I would go to the operations, and anyone in here who doesn't have a number, that's the person who is not using it. So I could generate a list of 15 users, go to them and ask, why are you not using those reports if everyone else is using it? Maybe there is a reason, maybe they just haven't accessed it. I don't know, but you've got the functionality to identify users who are not using it, at least more information. So for instance, if I go finance, uh, you can see that all finance related reports are here, which is quite a neat way to do it. So if you wanted to, you could also add a link, and instead of using Power BI service, you could use that to directly go to the report itself, which could be used as a navigation. Or you can create your own navigations, which is something I'm exploring to do for clients as well. If we look at the HR, this is the HR aspect, IT. So with the reports, we only have a list of reports, but if you have many reports, you could also add a category, report category, and group them together, the same as I grouped users by a department. So you've got this option as well. This is the new design. So my graphic designer said, well, we can improve it a little bit. So he spent a little bit of time and said, this is the same report, just improved graphically. Uh, and you can see it's similar content, but the way it looks is a little bit improved visually, which I quite like. So we've got all users, active users, the same information, target. We've got information in here. And we've got the slicers which we can change. So pretty much the same information. It's only the design that changed. You can see a significant change at the bottom. If we compare it to this one is okay. It's got the numbers, so you can see the numbers, and this one doesn't have the numbers, but it's got the area in here, which also makes it quite easy to read, especially with the tooltip. So a different way to look at the data. Another thing that we've got, let me just see if I can open that. Another thing that I found on the internet is how to use PowerShell. So it's from Power BI .tips, and it shows the report usage using the goals, Power BI goals, and the KPIs. So it's a different way to do it. I haven't went into too much details in here, but it also shows some summaries which you could potentially use and either use this approach or integrate it into your Power BI report. You can see that they've got adoption of rolling 14 days and 30 days report views. So that's also a nice way to display it and provide the statistics. And there should be PowerShell script, which is here, which extracts the data from Microsoft using the Microsoft Power BI management. I would imagine it's still limited to a certain amount of data, but I would also imagine that you can run it and export multiple files and then integrate everything together. So that's also an option for that. So I pretty much finished what I had to say. Now, one thing that I don't have on this slide yet, and it's the biggest change to the content of that, is a colleague of mine created took my usage that I developed for HS2 for one of my clients, and he used a different approach by using the API. So he used M language to use API to extract the data, and instead of a single workspace, it extracts multiple workspace. There is still limitations of 30 days, and I don't think there was performance data in there, but it makes it much easier because you can automate it without having to manually export the data or without having to use a premium to extract the data. Still, I need to figure out the details because I need to figure out if it works. I need to figure out if it works with the refresh, because sometimes there is a refresh problem with an API. So I will try it out, and once I have it, I will update this content of this webinar and show you a different way. But it's definitely something I will investigate because I want to offer to my clients a vanilla product where they can just say, I want it, show me the data, and I will just add it as an add-on to what we offer. Now what you get is Power BI dashboard. You get sample random data, PowerPoint slides, and webinar recording. This webinar is being recorded, so I will just update it. I've got it on my website somewhere. I just need to find the link, but I'll ask Tina to share with everyone the content so you can download it, play with it, do it yourself. Any questions, let me know on LinkedIn, and I will try to answer those. And that's essentially everything I had for today. So if there are any questions, please ask now or later on LinkedIn.
Feel free to come off mute, share your video, whatever, to get your question across. But I mean, before we do that, Emil, I would love for everybody to come off mute, use your emoticon, and give you just a round of applause for being here today and giving us such an amazing presentation on how
Thank
to
you very
use
much.